Hello everyone. Sorry here. Thank you so much for joining me for a Kendra Card Challenge sponsor hub with Artful Angels. And what you see in front of me right now are three fantastic farm stamps that I am going to be playing with and making a card. These are absolutely adorable and fun to color with. And the sentiments are a lot of fun too. They all have something to do with farm animals, like horsing around, heard it's your birthday, utterly amusing, thank you. So there's a lot of fun sentiments on this stamp set, and I did go out and color a bunch of these images before I started. So I have the barn there, the cow, which is adorable, the chicken, and then I made the pig as well. Let's see what I end up actually using when I create my card, but this is where I am starting. And like I said, these images are really adorable and just fun to color. So I'll be doing sketch 7, and I pulled out some scrap paper that kind of has this picnic barn feel to it, and I'm pulling out all the scrap pieces because if you look at the sketch, there is a bunch of small sections there. Now I'm going to separate those and then go through the paper pad and find a matte layer that I'm going to be using. Because if you look at the sketch there, that big blue square is one full sheet. So if you're following the cutting guides, then you would already have this all done. But because I want to work with my scraps, I'm going to go the other route and just pick the papers that I want for this sketch. So I have the red plaid and then the yellow polka dots, and I'm just going to see what looks well by putting it together. And I really like the red checkered background with that barn. I didn't think I would. I thought it'd be too much red, but I think because it does have the white in there, then the barn doesn't get lost on that background. So now what I'm going to do is just trim this down to 5 1/4 by 4 inches, which is what it says on the sketch there. Now, if you were following the cutting guides, then you won't need to worry about this because you would have all the pieces already set for you. But since I'm just working on one card and I'm using up scraps, I'm just going to be following just the one sketch and making sure that each piece is cut appropriately. Now, I'm off camera, as you can see. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Thank you, sire, for... Oh, now we're back off camera again. I don't know what I'm thinking. But anyways, what I'm doing here is I'm going to be cutting this down to be, what does it say, 2 3/4 by 1/2. Is that right? No, 2 3/4 and a half. So I have 2 pieces of those. And then for paper C, which it says in the sketch, this is going to be 1 1/4 by 1/2 inch. And I'm just straightening this out. I realize my paper may not be perfectly straight, so I'm just taking the slightest bit off just to make sure that my paper is nice and straight, and then I'll cut off my pieces. And there we go. Now I have my yellow all cut up, and that would be paper C and A if you're following the sketch. And I'm just going to lay this down just so I have a visual of how it's going to look. And then off camera, I'm going to cut off a bunch of matte layers. I decided to go with teal. And I also cut off some of those polka dotted teal papers for some more texture. It is not part of the sketch, but I'm going to add it to that center square. The first layer is the matte, which is a full A2 size. That's 5 1/2 and 4 1/4. And then I'm going to follow with paper D from the sketch, which I said was 5 1/4 by 4 inches, creating a nice border around. I love doing that. And you notice that my scrap paper is not fitting. So I just cut it and I'm just going to overlap it. In this case, I am absolutely not worried about it because that barn is going to go in the center and it is going to cover that seam. That barn is quite large of an image. So that seam has no chance showing itself on this card. It's going to be hidden quite nicely. And then we're just going to put the yellow strips down, which is paper A, and we'll put those right on the top and bottom. Most of this actually will get covered by that barn, but just adding the different colors and layers, and they'll be poking out a bit, it will actually create a nice little effect. It's layering at its finest. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but we shall continue by putting some mattes on these, what is this, paper C with the white polka dots. And I'm just going to make sure that the square and those little panels there are all centered equally. Now I did add a little bit of pencil lines to help me gauge where it was, but I realized that just counting the number of squares from the top and bottom was just as easy, and I didn't need to bring out a pencil to do that. But whatever works, right? As long as you can create your card and you're happy with it, it doesn't matter how it comes to be in the end. I would say that if I was teaching someone, I would not use the pencil. That's how I guess my message is. So here's my barn. I love this barn. The barn turned out so cute. And so I got my cow and my chicken, and I'm just trying to play with placement here, but I still need a sentiment. So I brought out the one that says, "Heard it was your birthday," and that's going to match up with the cow that is a really cute cow. And I started off using my VersaFine Mark ink because I was going to heat emboss this with white. But when I started to place it down, I really like how it was that tone on tone color, and it wasn't being so blaringly white in my face. This is a pretty bold stamp, so I was worried it was going to take away from the rest of the imagery on the card. So I just stamped this probably about 4 or 5 times. I think it's a little dry, that's why, my ink pad. And make sure that I get a nice coverage. And then I just pull out some scissors and I fussy cut it out, trying to create some really rounded corners. I didn't start off with it, as you can see, I just made a little mound. But as I start going around it more, I decided to just create really sharp rounded corners, if that makes sense. Like it's just slightly rounded. And I really like how this turned out, so I'm going to go back and just fix that as best as I can. Just trim off slightly, going around, and then creating those corners there. Now, I did find that it was a little too hidden, the message, so I brought out a gel pen and I just decided to highlight, kind of like giving it a 3D effect, just around "heard" and "birthday." I left the "it was your" alone, so that you have the two tone there. I really like this, and it turned out really nice. And I also got on my finger, which I didn't realize until now. Who knows how long that was on there, because sometimes you walk away from the craft room and I swear there's ink all over my face and no one tells me. I am going to prop up my 3-inch square here with some foam tape. This is very thin foam tape from Uline. It is I think I measured it as 1/16 of an inch or 1/32 of an inch. Very thin. It just gives a nice dimension without making it too thick so I can still mail it. And I'm going to prop up my barn there, but because I have lifted up the center, I need to make sure my sentiment and my cow also have a little bit of dimension or foam tape on the sides where it's hanging over. Because the sentiment is hanging off where it says "it was your," that was where I was going to put my chicken, but I thought it looked nice how it kind of flowed with the sketch. So I decided not to use my chicken and just have the sentiment there instead. And there we go. So I placed down my barn. I'm going to put down my cow, my absolutely adorable, I love cows. Cows are so sweet, and this is such a sweet looking cow. I love this cow. And then my sentiment. I will say that these stamps from Artful Angels are really nice, beautiful, and so easy to color. I had so much fun working with these stamps. And because I have already cut out some papers, I hope I can use the chicken and the pig on another card and post that. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. This is a hop, so there are a few other designers who are also creating some cards with Artful Angel. So don't forget to check those out. There is a playlist in the description box below that will take you to each one of them. And finally, don't forget that there is a form down in the description box below for your chance to win a prize if you follow along. And it is a digital download by Kendra Cards. So I do hope that you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the rest of the hop. And until the next time, have a wonderful, beautiful day. And I'll talk to you all later. Take care. Bye now.